एथिक्स ऑफ परफॉर्म करिए और चुनकर आइए। 3 टर्म मोदी जी को चुना है और 3 टर्म भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार रहने वाली है। मेरी बात ठीक कर मान्यवर। अंत में मैं किरण जी को बहुत बहुत बधाई देना चाहता हूं कि बहुत अभ्यास कर सारे दूषणों को निकालकर वक्फ कानून को शुद्ध, पारदर्शी और उद्देश्यों को समर्पित बनाने का काम रिज्जू साहब लेकर आए हैं। मैं इसका समर्थन करता हूं।
ईटी मोहम्मद बशीर, आप कुछ बोलना चाहते थे? छोड़िए, गृह मंत्री जी ने विषय रख दिया।
मेरा नाम सर माननीय वेणुगोपाल जी ने लिया था और सर मैंने बड़ा स्पष्टता से सर कह दिया था।
ईटी मोहम्मद बशीर बाद में कर रहे हैं। ईटी मोहम्मद बशीर छोड़िए। ईटी मोहम्मद बशीर।
Sir, thank you very much. Honorable Home Minister has committed a speech, lengthy speech, claiming as he is the savior of the minorities. He was announcing certain things and pretend themselves as the champion of the minorities. I would like to say that is the biggest tamasha of 2025. There is no iota of truth in it. It is his government. He tortured the minorities in India, physically, mentally, socially.
Namaste and Jai Hind. The showdown continues in Parliament over the controversial Waqf Amendment Bill. We just heard the Union Home Minister Amit Shah make his deposition and try and diffuse all perhaps what he claimed canards and fakery being peddled by the opposition, where he said that the Waqf Amendment Bill only strengthens the Waqf Board and the Waqf Act in favor of the Pasmandas. He's also made a big announcement where he said that the provisions allow even Muslims to form under the Trust Act or the Charitable Trust Act their own trust outside the ambit of the Waqf itself. Now the government has called it the Ummeed Bill, highlighting that the JPC's consultation process was the largest ever exercise. Minorities Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju argued that 133 properties have been claimed as Waqf, and if the government would not have interfered, even the Parliament building would have been Waqf property. Now he also asserted that the bill will not snatch away anyone's land, while accusing the opposition of misleading the country and spreading misinformation. NDA allies have held the lines of the alliance to push the reform agenda through Parliament. Now, with even the JDU from poll-bound Bihar speaking out in favor of the amendment. The TDP is also very happy. They said that the amendment that they wanted has been included. The Congress and other members of the INDI alliance claim that the bill is primed to target one community and to dilute the constitution. So, Samvidhan ke khilaf hai. Now, who is with the Samvidhan and who is upholding Samvidhan, who is not, that's the point of debate. All parties, from the Samajwadi Party to the Uddhav Sena, have spoken out against the bill, accusing the NDA of stoking communal tensions. The debate continues in the Lok Sabha, with all signs that the NDA can comfortably see the passage of this bill through in the Lok Sabha. It will go to vote very, very soon. But here's a deep dive on the Waqf Amendment Bill to decode the need for reform. Now, here are some of the big FAQs surrounding the Waqf debate. What are the issues concerned with the Waqf Board? Irrevocability of Waqf properties, legal disputes and poor management, no judicial oversight, incomplete survey of Waqf properties, misuse of Waqf laws. And what are some of the key reforms of the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024? There is a unified management, Waqf management, empowerment of the Central Waqf Council and State Waqf Boards, efficiency of the State Waqf Boards. Now, some of the key reforms recommended by the JPC. 1. Separation of trusts from Waqf, technology and central portal, eligibility for Waqf dedication, protection of Waqf by user properties. And how can Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 benefit the poor? The biggest issue is that Waqf is supposed to be for charitable causes, to enable education, welfare of widows, women, and other aspects. Has that been met so far? That's a point for introspection. The numbers belie that expectation or that mandate as per Waqf and Awqaf. Meanwhile, how is it going to help the poor, the Pasmandas? Digitization for transparency and accountability, increased revenue for welfare and development, increased allocation for welfare and education, promotion of better financial discipline. But the reform drive has also been marred by politics and several myths surrounding the legislation. The first one, all Waqf properties will be revoked. The fact is, no property legitimately declared as Waqf will be revoked. Second myth, no surveys will be conducted for Waqf properties. No, there will be a sweeping revocation of the Waqf status. No, that's not the case. The fact is, district collector will conduct the survey of the Waqf properties as per the revenue records and as per the revenue that was being done by the survey commissioner. Now it will be done by the collector. Now myth, non-Muslim majority on Waqf boards. The fact is, non-Muslims will not form majority on the Waqf boards. Only two non-Muslim members will be there, because there are also non-Muslim properties which are under dispute with the Waqf, and there needs to be certain level of parity. Meanwhile, myth, personal land of Muslims to be acquired via the bill. Fact is, no personal land is going to be acquired. Another myth, the government will use the law to take over Waqf properties. Fact is, the bill does not authorize seizure of legitimate Waqf property at all. There is another myth, the bill will affect the status of historic Waqf sites. The fact is, bill does not affect the historic character of the properties at all. Another aspect, another myth, removal of Waqf by user means loss of tradition. Fact is, provision is being made to ensure unauthorized claims over property do not happen. Myth, bill interferes with the community's right to manage its own affairs. Fact is that the bill introduces a proper framework to ensure accountability. But if we look at the standing Waqf law more closely, we can see how several features are ultra vires the constitution. The current standing Waqf law, including the 2013 amendment. The constitution carries Article 14, right to equality. But the Waqf Act by itself is a special act for properties of one particular religion, when no such law exists for other religions. So is that not disparity? The Constitution carries Article 14, Article 300A, right to property, but Section 40 of the old Act has been widely misused to acquire properties, often retrospectively. Principle of once a Waqf, always a Waqf, behind disputes without judicial oversight. The Constitution carries Article 26, freedom to manage religious affairs, but while the government controls Hindu temples, Waqf boards are given independent management. So, which act was ultra vires constitution or is ultra vires constitution? The previous framework with 1994 and the 2013 amendments, or the current framework with the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024-25? Let's go across to Sardar R.P. Singh, National Spokesperson of the BJP, with us. Vivek Silla, Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, also with us in the studio. Anand Ranganathan joins us, and Shahid Ali. Namaste, Jai Hind, gentlemen. There is a lot of activity going on in Parliament whenever there is an important speaker or matters move towards the voting process. We'll have to go across to Parliament. But first, what is in the daira or of the constitution of Samvidhan, and what is ultra vires? Sardar R.P. Singh, the opposition has said what you are doing is anti-constitution, violates the principles of the constitution itself. So when I say you're doing this, the NDA government is doing under PM Modi.
So let them point it out where it violates the constitution. They have been hammering on Article 25, 26 of the constitution. Please go through it. I mean, it says that you can do religious activity, your independence to do religious activity. But this is not religious activity. This is activity which is as per the High Court of Calcutta High Court, and later ratified by the Supreme Court also, that it is a property management activity. So how come property management activity can be religious activity? I mean, every religion can have their independent institutions to run and manage their properties. They are comparing it with Gurdwara Committee. Gurdwara Committee is there to manage Gurdwaras, not properties. This is purely property management. And also that they say, no, our masjids, you're impeaching our freedom of religion by that our masjids will be taken over the government of India. No way. No masjids are run under the separate trust, or other institutions, religious institutions are run under separate trust, so they can keep running as they are running as normal. But yes, if any masjid is being is on the property of work, yes, then they are free to run the masjid. No one is taking over any masjid at all. This has been very clearly stated also.
But what if that masjid is on disputed property, and if that land on which the masjid stands has under the new Amendment Act is decided as no, this is not Waqf, then what happens?
So it won't be anything will be done, no, nothing will be touched retrospective. So whatever there it is, it will have a status quo, it won't be touched. But yes, since they have to create a fear psychosis among Muslims, and that's why they are, oh, Hindi mein kehte hain dugdugi bajana. I mean, that's why trying to gather Muslims around on a subject which is not there, or a issue which is not there. Like remember CA, you lose your citizenship. I remember I have gone to various Muslim localities in my area. हमारी citizenship चले जाएगी. I said, please, I'm assuring you, and I'm again asking, whose citizenship has been taken because of CA? None. Similarly here, हमारी masjid चले जाएंगी. Please don't try to create fear among the Muslims. And also, the bigger question is that is the Waqf properties being used for the welfare of the Muslims at large or not? I was going through the data which clearly says that the revenue earning from the properties, Waqf properties, which are in tune to some 9.2 lakh acre, is in tune to 10 crore now, which used to be 166 crore some few years back. And as per the Sachar committee report, if I rightly remember some page number 123 or 126, it said that it is supposed to be some 12,000 crore rupees, because the property is worth something like 1-2 lakh crore rupees. So 10% of the revenue is minimum which is expected from the property. But yes, Yasir Malik enjoys that properties of the Waqf properties, and he has built up some malls in Srinagar on the Waqf properties. So people have occupied, I've been told, I'm not very sure, but even Oasis, I've been told that Oasis have also enjoyed similar facilities or
land donated to Waqf has been given to him on rent, on which rather than a charitable institution,
He's
there are shopping malls. So that's the allegation. Vivek Silas, how would you respond?
As far as the Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned, I think everything boils down to Hindu-Muslim politics, nothing else. We have been seeing since just before the elections in 2020, general elections in 2024, what kind of statements were given by the Prime Minister or the leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party. They even came down to say that we'll change the constitution of India. That was said by the Bharatiya Janata Party. People who were fighting, contesting the elections, and especially in Uttar Pradesh, be it Meerut or be it the Ayodhya seat. As far as the Samajwadi Party is concerned, I think we should and we are, against the bill that is coming in the parliament, and this discussion is going on. It's the way of the Bharatiya Janata Party to confiscate land, and to, just send a message to the people of the country and spread hatred. Nothing more than that. It seems because it's, I think, grabbing of land and selling it like they have sold the railway land, even the defense land. We have seen corruption in Ayodhya as well, but no one unfortunately discussed about it. If you see anything for the last 6-7 months, if you see the Mahakumbh, if you see the Kawad Yatra, if you see the elections, if you see even the clothes, school, colleges, universities, crime, sports, cricket, assembly, Lok Sabha, everything, wherever you go, you see Hindu-Muslim politics. No one wants to talk about, the development of the country and the burning issues like inflation and healthcare and education. Trump, what Donald Trump is going to do today is 2nd of April. I don't know what is the outcome in the US, but that is also going to dent the the economy of the country. But who's willing to talk about it? No one. So that is the problem. Let's see what happens in the parliament ultimately, whether the bill is passed or not.
Quick rebuttal, RP Singh, before I go across to Anand Ranganathan and Shaidar.
Well, he spoke about everything else except the Waqf. Man, he says we will occupy the properties. No one is going to occupy the properties. The properties are going to stay of the Waqf only, and the only thing is that they should be better used for the better objective of uplifting of the women, uplifting women in the poor women in the among the Muslim community. They were against triple talaq also. As they said, no, triple talaq is a violation of Quran, violation of Islam, but it didn't. People accepted it, and worldwide it is accepted. But yes, they have to create a ruckus. They have to create an issue out of non-issue, and we are not creating. This is not Hindu versus Muslim at all. Yes, for the welfare of the wider welfare of the Muslim community at large.
Ashrafi versus Ashrafi versus the Pashmanda, that's the story.
Yeah,
So this is Muslims between Muslims, but along with the fact that there is a lot of property that does not belong to Muslims or Waqf, which has been turned into Waqf, land that belongs to churches, land that belongs to non-Muslims, land that belongs to temples, land that belongs to government, land that belongs to the ASI, has all suddenly Gurdwara. Okay, so that's why I said.
I can quote instance, but the bigger issue is they talk about OBC, they talk about backward. In this, the new Waqf will ensuring that backward should have the right, backward should have the participation in the Waqf board. We are ensuring that they should have the equal right and participation in the Waqf board. The new nomination will be backward class Muslims also, Shia, Sunni, backward Bora and Aga Khani and 2 Muslim women. So are they in favor of that OBC or not? They speak of some PD otherwise, but here they are not standing by the backward Muslims here, who are going to get representation in the Waqf board now.
Okay, quick response, Vivek Silla, then I'll go to the other two gentlemen.
My only fear in the question is that most of the Waqf board properties are, unregistered, where we can see the cremation grounds or the burial grounds. Even some of the mosques have been built. I think it was suggested by the JDU, Nitish Kumarji's party, that the status quo should be maintained even on the properties which are unregistered. I want Mr. R.P. Singh to clarify about that.
No masjid will be touched under the new Waqf Property Act.
Masjid, Qabristan and Eidgahs. These are 3 parts. No. These are three parts which have been spoken. And extension of tenure for registration based on a case-to-case basis. The registration, if the properties have not been registered, then the current Waqf boards are also to blame, Vivek Silla. So that means there has been a the Waqf boards have not functioned properly. And also what's been promised is, and this is something that even the JPC chairman Jagdambika Pal is on record, the Union Home Minister is on record, Qabristan, Eidgah, mosques, nothing is going to be lost. Anything else, if under the ambit of the law, the collector, the courts of the day will decide on the properties, and as when it is. And if it is illegal, it is illegal. It has to come under the ambit of the law. Anand Ranganathan and then Shahid Ali. Anand Ranganathan.
Another sir, Homeland and how about the Homeland, the Parliament building?
Yes.
This is exactly, good evening Anand, and good evening to my fellow panelists. This is exactly what I feared, and all the fears have come true. Because the BJP and the central government have fallen neatly and completely into this trap. Now they are having to beseech, plead, explain, convince that no mosque will be touched. This amendment act bill is not against Muslims. That was never the issue. The problem is that this draconian act and the amendment was against the non-Muslims. But they have been beaten into a corner, and now they are having to explain, this is not anti-Muslim. Problem is it was anti-non-Muslim. Be that as it may. I have spoken ad nauseum, Anand, with you about the Waqf Act, about the amendment bill, about the continued draconian nature of it. So many clauses remain, about the need for giving Hindus a similar act in the interest of equality, about the fact that I have nothing against the Waqf board. Why should anyone? Because countless boards, charities, NGOs exist. The problem was the Waqf Act. Because the world over, disputes over property are settled using courts and existing laws that are community and religion agnostic. So why should a particular religious community be armed with another set of laws that are patently discriminatory towards member of another community as a primary instrument of defense or indeed offense? But there is no point repeating all this. Today is a day of reflection, and I'll tell you why. It is a day where we have witnessed so many of our leaders continue to fight to preserve an act that is discriminatory against 1 billion Hindus. And many of them insist on calling themselves proud Hindu. Well, it is not for me to dole out certificates, Anand, but one must ask, would a proud Hindu ever want discrimination against fellow Hindus to continue? Then why does it? Why are we in an India where 500,000 Hindus are forced to be refugees in their own land? Where Hindu temples are exclusively controlled by the state? Where Right to Education Act discriminates only against Hindus? Where those who perpetrated Hindu genocides are celebrated? Where the constitution enacts court bills to reform only Hinduism? Where a law was about to be enacted where only the Hindus would have been held guilty in a communal riot? Where an act continues to deny Hindus their legitimate right to reclaim thousands of demolished temples? And do we not even realize that what we cherish most in this land, pluralism, can only survive if India does, and India can only survive if Hinduism does. Let me explain. Every politician, Anand, is elected on the promise of delivering welfare. And Modi has, over the last 11 years, delivered stunningly on welfare. Toilets have been made 120 million, gas connections supplied 100 million, health cards distributed 350 million, micro loans provided 430 million, homes constructed 40 million, jobs given 85 million, bank accounts opened. Indians are healthier, wealthier, wiser, they are traveling faster, cheaper, they're living safer, longer, being defended better. Inequality has decreased, stock market has the highest ever. But there comes the tipping point. And sooner or later, that point is reached, Anand, first by those who elect and not by those who are elected. There is only so many toilets to be made, so many taps to be connected, so many bank accounts to be opened. And once they are, the voters need something more than the basic amenities. That time has come. The time has come for Modi to stop discrimination against a billion Hindus. Discrimination that is legal, social, educational and constitutional. To address this issue later would be too late. Quite possibly it already is. Just 30 seconds. The Hindus, Anand, do not ask for appeasement. They never have. The Hindus do not even mind if people belonging to other religions are appeased. All the Hindus ask for is that discrimination carried out against them be ebbed, if not stopped altogether. Is that too much to ask? The proverbial Hindu Rashtra, a rhetorical derisory reference to the dawn of 2014 coined by the left to guilt trip Indians into believing that they were now living in a fascist state where Muslim rights were being stomped upon by brown-shirted goose-stepping Hindutva soldiers, is soon going to celebrate its 11th anniversary. 11 years, Anand, of apathy, of inaction, of prejudice, of constitutional and judicial discrimination. Not against Muslims, but against Hindus. Do something.
Well, that is something that you have been talking constantly, but the subject matter is not what is not being done for the Hindus. It is at least something is being done for a vast number of Muslims who have also not got anything. Under this entire philosophy, which is being alleged, is that कि इनको बढ़ने दो, that means let them grow in numbers, but इनको कभी बढ़ने मत दो, that means in terms of social upliftment, never allow that to happen. So that's where, and this entire Waqf play is also being done in such a way that the Ashrafis have enjoyed it, but the Pashmandas have suffered. Shahid Ali, your point of view.
Sheikh Sadi Rahmatullah says, I will quote him, "ए जलने वाले तू मर जा, जल के कुछ नहीं कर सकता, तो जलने वाले मर जा." शेख सादी का है, कथन मेरा नहीं है. Now, as far as the parliament today, what is going on, we have seen and we have noticed that all truths, I think, have been broken down by the fellow or alliance of the BJP, the TDP and the JDU. The things which are being celebrated now or are opposed by the hardcore, this Hinduist, that Waqf will remain, or Waqf by user will remain the same. They will not touch mosque and all. Earlier this was not, but today this has come. Now Mr. Amit Shah, the Honorable Minister, has also announced that Hindu will not be included. So basically, I believe that this is the victory of democracy. This is the victory. This is the victory. We should celebrate this, I think. As now only few things are left to be taken care of. One, that the powers of judicial officers or judiciary has been taken away or trying to be taken away and are being conferred upon this executive. This is not possible. This is not fair in India, because India is is standing on three pillars: executive, legislation, and judiciary. If the powers of judiciary or are taken away or interfered, definitely judiciary will come for our rescue. So, if anything, if this is also not taken care, then definitely we will go into the court, honorable court, for this what they have been bringing. So, as far as today's developments are concerned, on any account, for any reason, whether those amendments are causing pains to my fellow brothers or to anybody else, but since this land belongs to Muslims, and sir, I just want to clarify that this land is not managed by Muslims. This land till date is managed by governments, because the Waqf board is a statutory body appointed by the government, not by the Muslims. So our demand is that on the on the line of Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee Act, our act may kindly be framed by the Parliament, because we Muslims want to vote for our body. We Muslims want to constitute our body, which may run this Waqf board, and this all atrocities of Muslims will come to an end.
Okay.
And here I want to make a responsible statement. We Muslims are not going to demand even a single thing from this government. Even we can finance the budget of this government if the Waqf board, if these Waqf lands are restored to Muslims only, because the Waqf board is still till date is slave. This has to be liberated. And the day when this is liberated, we will make India proud on that day.
Right. Okay.
Two
now.
very small point.
Okay. जी,
Two
जी,
very small point.
जी.
सर आप कह रहे हैं कि आप पूरे गवर्नमेंट को पैसा दे देंगे, पूरा गवर्नमेंट का फाइनेंस मैनेज कर देंगे वक्फ की प्रॉपर्टी से, एटलीस्ट
बिल्कुल सर.
सर थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू सो मच, यू सेड व्हाट
दीजिए तो हमें property
थैंक यू सो मच सर.
सर, हम हमारे-
सर
नहीं,
प्लीज
Shahid Ali, hear him out.
सो मच सर,
Shahid Ali, hear him out.
Shahid
Ali, hear him out. Hear him out.
बना रहे हैं और तो कर रहे हैं.
Shahid Ali, hear him out.
सर
हम तो गुलाम से गुलाम ही है ना सर.
शाहिद अली हियर हिम आउट. एक दूसरे के ऊपर बोलेंगे तो सुनाई नहीं देगा,
मैं तो
किसी
सिर्फ
बात
चुप
समझ
रहा,
में.
मैं तो-
ओके
सर
जी.
शाहिद अली साहब बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया,
सर,
आपने
प्लीज.
मेरी बात को बढ़ा दिया आपने, थैंक यू सो मच सर. डू दैट and then please ensure that whatever management board comes, they should act properly and ensure that money generated from that at least be used for betterment of poor Muslims, not people like Owaisi or Yasmin Maliks. I mean, that is the only thing we are requesting you. One. Secondly, sir, Gurdwara Act is for managing Gurdwaras, not properties. This is
Gurdwara property, sir. Gurdwara
sir, no,
property.
sir, please, for God's sake.
No sir, it
Sir,
is only
God-
the management of the Gurdwara.
Sir, it is for मैं सिख हूँ सर, it's for the management of the Gurdwaras, whereas this is
तो सिख हो तो मुझसे अलग थोड़ी नहीं हो सर, मेरे भाई तो हो.
सर बिल्कुल हूँ सर, मैं आपका भाई भी हूँ, आपका सगा भाई हूँ सर. मेरी पगड़ी को
बिल्कुल
देखकर
सर.
आज मान जाइए कि मैं आपका सगा भाई हूँ. तो पर इशू
तो इसलिए गुरुद्वारा में एकदम देख पढ़ लीजिए सर. 25 जुलाई 1925 को पास हुआ था ना, तो महात्मा गांधी ने कहा था आज हम जंग आजादी की पहली लड़ाई जीत गए.
सर
तब यही
बिल्कुल
ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट ने करना चाहा था, जो आज बीजेपी करना
बिल्कुल
चाहती थी.
गुरुद्वारा
अच्छा,
अगर हम लोग पहली लड़ाई ना जीतते, अगर हम तोप के आगे खड़े होकर अपनी शहादतें ना देते तो देश आजाद भी ना होता. मैं आज आपको
बिल्कुल
बड़ा
सर,
खुला
बिल्कुल
कहता हूँ,
शक की बात
अगर
नहीं.
अगर अगर
बिल्कुल शक की बात.
अगर अगर 60 सिखों ने तोप के गोले के आगे खड़े होकर कांग्रेस के बनने के 9 साल पहले अगर अपनी शहादत नहीं दी होती तो आज कुछ और रुख होता, परंतु हम लोग उनको याद नहीं करते.
सिखों की शहादत
Okay,
को
okay,
कोई-
we are digressing.
इशू नहीं है सर, इशू नहीं है. जो मूल बात है, द बेसिक इशू इज दैट प्लीज डोंट try to mix two things. One is management of masjid. You please manage your masjid. The Shahi Masjid of Delhi can be managed by any Fatehpuri Masjid, can be managed by different trusts. No one is interfering into that at all. Your madrasas, your baras, everything can be managed by independently, differently, but not the properties which are being donated for charitable objectives, for bigger, wider objectives of the for the betterment of the Muslims.
No, not just that, sir. Not just that. In my limited understanding, before I go across to Anand Ranganathan, one is, sir, this entire Waqf board is managing properties. Okay, when you say Gurdwaras, then you have to say masjid. If you say temple, then you have to say masjid or Eidgah. So those are places of prayer or worship, which you can say that Muslims should be allowed to manage. The other thing is, sir, the land does not belong to Muslims. What is Waqf? Land belongs to Allah, God Almighty. And it is supposed to be used for charitable purposes for the backward, the people who do not have the ability to provide for themselves, they are supposed to be provided for. So there's widows, children, orphans, create places for healthcare. Now, anybody, you have to now, the Muslim Samaj in our country has to say, Waqf properties पे क्या बने हैं, किसने बनाए हैं, कौन चला रहा है और वहां से क्या हो रहा है. Are those charitable activities or profitable activities? Is shopping mall indeed the true utilization of Waqf land? If that is not there, then what punishment should be given to such entities who are standing there and trying to oppose the Waqf amendment bill? That is something which the Muslim Samaj themselves have to turn around and ask. That who in the name of Islam, who in the name of managing properties and becoming the custodians of Muslims, what are they doing? Are they not defrauding the Muslim Samaj? You yourself, and going by what you said, Shahid Ali, if based on the Waqf properties and its earnings you can fund the government of the day, why has it not been done till 76 years so far? And at least the last 40 years, why is the revenue collection so low? Where is it all gone? Why are the Muslims considering themselves backward? Majority of the Muslims considering themselves backward if they are owning and if they are sitting on land that belongs to Allah, third only to the railways and the armed forces.
Sir, please allow me to respond to this.
Ji.
Please allow me to respond to this. What I said, Waqf till date is slave of government. Waqf bodies are constituted by government.
No, sir.
Whosoever, please sir, allow me. This is my property. I know the main.
It's not your property, sir. It's property that's been donated to God. I'll say that again and again.
Sir, God, there are three purposes which have to be served. Three purposes which have to be served. Now I want to reply first. all work boards are constituted by governments, government in power, whichever government or whosoever government is in power in the state. Now those governments control the work boards. So the work board acts always to appease that government.
Yeah.
Take example of Delhi. In Delhi alone, 300, not 1, 2, 300 work properties were taken away by the government, and the work board has not challenged even to that. The law is what? Section 51 of Waqf Act says that without permission of work board chairman, property cannot be taken away by the government. If they take, then they have to compensate the work board. But in those 300 properties, never at no point of time the consent of work board chairman was obtained, because work board chairman was belonging to particular government which was in power. Therefore,
No. Now suddenly the Waqf board chairman belongs to particular party. Then the Waqf board chairman is not a Muslim. At that time, you don't say that the Waqf board chairman is a Muslim and he himself defrauded the Muslim community. At that time, it becomes a siyasat and a government thing. But they are not. So no. But then you take those people to task. No. So has the Muslim Samaj of Delhi taken the Waqf board chairman under the AAP government to task? That's what happened. Then you again go. Then you are blaming the center. That should not be the answer. Dr. Ranganathan, I have to wind up. मैं 3-3.5 मिनट ओवर हूँ शो में सर प्लीज डॉक्टर रंगनाथन को 30 seconds I have to wind up. Yes, डॉक्टर रंगनाथन.
Yes, thank you very much. 30 seconds से थोड़ा सा ज्यादा लूंगा बिकॉज 2 पॉइंट एक्सप्लेन करने हैं. एक तो ये है कि मैं ये अपना लॉजिक समझाते समझाते मेरे को लगता है मैं अल्लाह को प्यारा हो जाऊंगा, क्योंकि 2 चीजें हैं यहाँ पे. एक जो मिस्टर अली ने कहा है,
आप डार्विनियन एथिस्ट हैं, आप भगवान में विश्वास रखते हैं ना अल्लाह में, सर डोंट मेक दैट रिसोर्ट. या गो एट प्लीज.
देखिए जो मिस्टर अली कह रहे हैं, मैं वो 1.5 साल से चिल्ला के कह रहा हूं. दिस स्टेट इज अ नैनी स्टेट. इट हैज नो बिजनेस टू इंटरफेयर इन द रिलीजियस अफेयर्स. इट हैज नो बिजनेस टू इंटरफेयर ऑन हाउ अ वक्फ बोर्ड हैज टू बी कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड. द प्रॉब्लम इज नॉट द बोर्ड दैट आई हैव बीन सेइंग एंड आई सेड इट टुडे एज वेल. द प्रॉब्लम इज द एक्ट. अगर मैं ये मिस्टर अली से बोलूं कि अगर कल हिंदूज को एक सनातन एक्ट मिल जाए जो कि क्लॉज फॉर क्लॉज वक्फ एक्ट का इक्विवेलेंट हो, द पॉइंट इज हाउ वुड ही फील. एक मिनट सुनिए बात सुनिए, मैं आपको अभी समझाता हूं. ये बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा है. पूरा इंडिया का जो लैंड है वो सनातन लैंड है. कल को हिंदू बोर्ड कोई कहेगा कि भाई जामा मस्जिद इज ऑन सनातन लैंड, अब मुस्लिम्स कहेंगे ये कैसे हो गया?
तो वही तो चली जाएगी बात. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. That's where things will move if we continue on the same tone of boards. Sanatan board, Christian board, Sikh, everybody will say कि हम तो इस्लाम से पहले आए, ये जमीन तो हमारी है पहले. So that's where it will all happen, sir. That's what he's trying to just make a hypothetical point there. Yeah, go ahead, Dr.
I wanted to finish. Mr. Ali, please do not interrupt me. आप मेरा logical argument सुन लीजिए.
Please sir, please.
कल तो मुस्लिम्स कहेंगे ये क्या बात कर रहे हो भाई, हम तो कोर्ट जाएंगे. द प्रॉब्लम इज कि आप डायरेक्टली कोर्ट नहीं जा पाएंगे. आपको पहले हिंदू इक्विवेलेंट एक्ट के ट्रिब्यूनल में आना पड़ेगा. नाउ इज दैट फेयर? नो, इट इज नॉट फेयर. तो आप अपना बोर्ड चलाइए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आप कोई भी लैंड क्लेम कर लीजिए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, कर लीजिए लैंड. लेकिन हिंदूज को या जो डिस्प्यूटेड है उनको कोर्ट जाना पड़ेगा. एक्ट कहां से आ गया? आपके वक्त ट्रिब्यूनल में क्यों आ रहे हैं पहले? ये पैरेलल सिस्टम जो आपने बना रखा है ये अनफेयर है. या तो इसको हटाइए या
that's where the caveat is. The parallel system has not been created by the Muslim Samaj or any of the boards that claim to be custodial. They have been done as acts of parliament. So who has to be pulled up are the parliamentarians and the netas of our country across successive governments. So that's the travesty that I can say. Let's hope there is a certain level of correction, but there are others who believe that there should be like for like. If you're doing something for Waqf and Muslims, then you should do something for all the other religious denominations in our country, because that's what the constitution mandates. We'll leave it at that. We're going to take a short break. Thank you very much. Engaging discussion and conversation here with all our panelists. When we come back, we speak with former MP, Union Minister and also lawyer Meenakshi Lekhi. Stay with us.
With the baton of power set to shift, Bharat's youth will drive the next wave of change. The biggest leaders and policymakers, global trendsetters, business icons, and entrepreneurs will come together to inspire the next generation of change makers. Don't miss your chance to witness it all live. Rising Bharat Summit 2025.
जीरा से प्याज बुझ
Back on, and it's time for a deep dive into the Modi Sarkar's Waqf Amendment Bill. And let's try and understand the aspects of it, the legal aspects of it, with senior advocate and also former Union Minister, former MP Meenakshi Lekhi ji joining us. Meenakshi ji, namaste. Thank you for your time. My first question, who is actually in favor of the Samvidhan? The government or the opposition, especially with respect to the Waqf Act?
Absolutely incorrect, because all laws relating to property ownership, right to divest the property, are all under the Constitution of India. And you cannot say that certain elements in the community can usurp, take over others' property or transfer the rights which do not vest in them. A very small example, Anand, I'll give you. I can maybe make a trust in your favor or XYZ's favor only when I'm the owner of the property. But if the property doesn't vest in me, and simply because I happen to rent it out or I was staying there under a kabza or something, I cannot give it away because I'm not the owner. In this case, the properties which have come into the Waqf are the ones which may not have vested. The ownership did not vest in the people who have made it in favor of Waqf. That's the first argument. The second argument is that whatever vests with the Waqf is for a particular purpose, and the purpose is that it is for the benefit of the widows, it's in the benefit of invalid and other people, for the community's well-being. Now the mutalis, or the ones who are supposed to take care of the trust, they are like trustees. They usurp it, sell it off, make money out of it, and deregulate it from the register. So that property, they are only trustees. It doesn't vest in them. They have no ownership, and can they transfer that property? So it is to correct the wrongs both ways. One, that the properties which do not vest in Waqf cannot be taken over by Waqf. Two, whatever vests in Waqf cannot be given away. So it is to strike a balance and equitable right of the community on the properties, and it is for this reason that this bill has been brought in, to give greater transparency and make people answerable to the wrongs which have been committed in the past in all those takeovers or giving away of those properties.
Okay, so then as a lawyer, please explain to our viewers, Meenakshi ji, that if you were to compare the 1994 Act, then the amendment that came through in 2013, and compare that with the 2024-25 Waqf Amendment Bill, what is difference? What are the key differences or perhaps amendments?
I will fault the opposition simply because these are the amendments. If you look at it strictly from a legal perspective, these are all very basic amendments. In the sense that the real essence has not been taken away, simply because it's more procedural in nature. For example, the right of revenue, etc., will vest with the commissioner. Now you say no, it will no longer vest with the commissioner, it has to be with the collector.
Correct.
What difference does it make, be it collector or be it this? Then the representation of women. Representation of women was there, representation of women is here, but women, it was more seen in terms of not being regulated. Now they have given right both at the state level and the central level, where two women have to be there. Then representation from two major communities, Shias and Sunnis, and many minorities within the minority communities, Ahmadiyyas, etc. They will also be part of the Waqf board because they had no representation, and it was probably controlled like a system which was underrepresentation of other communities. So if it becomes more inclusive and it gives more rights to members of every community, what's wrong with that? Then Shia board, Sunni board, so each one can have representation. Then tribunal's order was final. In this case, tribunal's order is not final. Tribunal's order will always have an appeal before the High Court, and within 90 days you can go in appeal against that order, and which is a very notable change, because many a times many wrongs were happening, and that order of the tribunal was unenforceable, unchallengeable anywhere. So in that case, enforceability and if there is any corrupt practice which has been engaged in, that can be challenged before the court of law. Like anything else, I mean, an appeal, a right to appeal cannot be taken away by a tribunal. I mean, High Court's right. High Court is a court of original jurisdiction and also an appellate body. The
Correct.
power of the High Court cannot be taken away by a tribunal. Nowhere, no tribunal has that kind of right.
Fair point.
No
But Meenakshi
tribunal
ji,
anywhere.
there's another clause in this, and allow me to ask you there. Waqf is supposed to be for the Muslims, by the Muslims, of the Muslims. What are non-Muslims doing in this board? That's another question that's been raised. Why put non-Muslims there?
No. Sorry. It's not about trust. If it was exclusively a community-driven thing, it was different. But a lot of properties which are non-Muslim in nature, those properties are given to Waqf and taken over by Waqf. I mean, for example, just for an example, your property, you've rented it out, or somebody's sort of got into your property under a rent deed or lease deed or something, and that lease deed expires, that person moves on to the next property, but
Correct.
gives away this property to the Waqf. It's a non-Muslim's property which has been given to Waqf. Waqf takes over and tribunal decides it's a Waqf property. You cannot challenge it in High Court, and all Muslims on one side, there is no transparency about non-Waqf properties which have been taken over. So balance, to give a balance to all the communities, to non-Muslims are going to be part of tribunal like everywhere else in the whole country. What's the big deal?
Okay.
Where is the problem? Can a community be a law unto itself?
Well, as per our
The
constitution,
the law will mandate everybody's right needs to be protected. In the court, if a Muslim child custody matters goes to the court,
Ji.
and the judge happens to be a non-Muslim, will you remove the file from the judge's hand because he's a non-Muslim or she's a non-Muslim? Child custody matter will be decided by the judge who is not from the community. Where is the problem? I just don't see any problem. Or there is a Muslim administrator or a Muslim judge, and a Hindu woman goes to the court and says, my right to have the custody of the child is mine and not my husband, and will you remove the file because the judge happens to be a Muslim? Will you take that right away? And you'll say, no, it is biased because you are a Muslim, you can't decide a file of a Hindu woman. Sorry, administration doesn't operate like this. It is to give more balance.
Fair point.
That people from every community need to participate in everybody else's community.
True, fair point. But Meenakshi ji, another point. The opposition's also claim is also that this is the government's ploy, center-led at state level, to take away all the land that belongs to Waqf and to lay claim on it.
Absolutely false, for the simple reason the land which did not vest with the Waqf has been taken over in some places by the Waqf, and the land which vested with the Waqf has been sold off illegally. It is for the community's benefit, like evacuee property, many other properties which were actually government lands and belonged to the government of the day were taken over by a Waqf board under misrepresentation. Those people, whoever did that, may be dead by now, or may be surviving elsewhere. Misdeclaration, misrepresentation, false affidavits, falsity completely. Should those lands not vest with the government of India? Very simple example. Archaeological Survey of India's properties.
Okay.
Who do they belong to?
The government, ASI, yeah.
Archaeological Survey, right? They are all notified bodies. Government, and they are all notified.
Ji.
If they are brought under Waqf, should the government be toothless in not being able to recover that land because they have been wrongly taken over? Or vice versa. I know some cases where mutawalis and others, in collusion with the registrar and other people, have sold off the shops outside the masjid.
Oh, okay.
And they have taken money. Who did
There's
they belong
corruption
to?
there.
To the community.
Muslims, yeah.
But the people who are supposed to look after that as a community property have taken it as their personal property, made money out of it, indulged in corruption, there is no challenge to it, and moved on.
Ji.
What do you say about that? And these are cases which I know of.
Okay.
So, wrongs have happened and there was no way those wrongs could be corrected. And 1995 amendment in which 123 odd huge properties were denotified by the government. Under what authority? If that was not wrong, what is wrong? I think these are all false accusations, do not meet the standards set by the law, especially the constitution, which is equitable to all, and which brings a sense of inclusion and fairness and justice to every Indian. Can you deny that to the people of Muslim community? When mutawalis do wrong, you have no recourse to the court.
But if that is the case, Meenakshi ji, why are entities like the AIMPLB, who claim to be custodians of Muslim interests in Bharat, why are they up in arms? They are threatening CAA-like protests. Do you think that what happened with the farm bills, what happened with CAA Amendment 2019, will this corner the government? Are we going to witness another set of protests and disruption across the country?
I suspect. No, there will be attempts. I won't deny that. There will be attempts. But there were several other reasons under which the previous things happened. And I believe those reasons under the geostrategic and geopolitical situations have altered. So there may be some vested interests, but the people from the community themselves have gone to the government and are in favor of these amendments. And just to sort of remind everyone, if you remember, Sachar Commission was appointed by the previous government, not by this government, right?
Correct.
It was during Congress regime that Sachar Commission was appointed to figure out the nature why the people from community, especially Muslim community and minority community, were backward. On to assess their backwardness, this commission was set up. This was the recommendation of Sachar Committee. So if Sachar Committee appointed by the then Congress government finds wrongs with the Waqf board and sought amendments to that so that the money, finances and everything could be used for the well-being of the community in a transparent way, should they be questioning it today? That's my question.
Well, you ask a fair question. Let's see what happens in the Lok Sabha, and then thereafter, in the next session, we're given to understand if it finds passage in the Lok Sabha, it will be further debated in the Rajya Sabha. Meenakshi Lekhi ji, thank you. Thank you for that deep dive into the Waqf Amendment Act and the various aspects of it from the legal perspective. With that, we call it a wrap on this edition of The Right Stand. Stay with us, brass tacks, after the break.
Go Parliament.